All right, I'm calling this meeting to order at 4:35 p.m. First off, we're going to start with the Territorial Acknowledgements. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated on occupied territories. We're now going to move on to our roll call attendance, starting with biology.
Hi, so my name is my ability needs.
Sorry, Nick, I couldn't hear you quite that well there. Could you repeat that? I think there might be a problem with your mic. You can just type your name, pronouns, and everything in the chat. All right. Chemistry sends their regrets. Cognitive science.
Yep. Roland Poe from Cognitive Science Student Society. He, him, his needs are currently being met.
Thank you. Computing science.
Hi, I'm Ryan. He, him, his. All my needs are met.
Thank you. Criminology.
Charlotte, she, her, hers. All my needs are met.
Thank you. Economics. See economics representative present. No. Education.
Yep. Adrian, pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are being met right now.
Thank you. Engineering.
Hi, my name is Alvin. My pronouns are he, him, his. All my needs are met.
Thank you. English.
Hi, my name is Liz. Pronouns she, her, hers, and all of my needs are met.
Thank you. Environmental science. See representative from environmental science present. No. Oh, Callie is not here yet. French. Is the representative from French present? No. Geography.
Hi, I'm Nicole. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my needs are met.
All right, make sure that the admin assistant updates geography's representative. Environmental science is here. Make sure to mark you as present. History. Is the history representative present? Yeah, I noted that you're present, Nicole. All right, no history, humanities.
Hi, my name is Sarah. She, her, hers, and all my needs are met.
Thank you. Interactive arts and technology.
Hi, Brian. He, him, his. All my needs are met.
Thank you. International studies.
Hello, my name is Aaliyah. My pronouns are she and her, and all of my access needs are met.
Thank you. Labor Studies.
Hello, my name is Justin, he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Mechatronics. Is the Mechatronics representative present? No. MBB.
Hi, my name is Kyle, he, him, all my needs are met.
Thank you. Operations Research.
Hi, my name is Ash, he, him, his, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Philosophy.
Hi, my name is Tony, he, him, his, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. Physics.
Hi, my name is Manuel. All my access needs are met. He, him, his.
Political Science.
Hi, everyone. My name is Helen. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you, Helen. Psychology.
Hi, my name is Tiffany. She, her, hers, and all my needs are met.
Thank you. This is myself. Society of Arts and Social Sciences, since their regrets. Sociology and Anthropology.
Hi, I'm Kayla, she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. Software Systems.
Hi, my name is Chris. My pronouns are male pronouns, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Quince, I think there's a problem with your mic there. It's quite loud. You may want to see if you can fix that. But moving on, world literature.
Hi, my name is Kishtal, pronouns she, her, and hers, and all my access needs are met.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that was some interesting audio there, Quince. All right, moving on to our constituency group representatives, Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance.
Hey, my name is Serena. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all of my accessibility needs are met.
Thank you, Serena. Out on Campus Collective.
Hi, everyone. My name is Victor. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my accessibility needs are met. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Victor. Student Athletic Advisory Committee.
Hi there, my name's Ryan. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my access needs are met.
Thank you, Ryan. Students of Caribbean and African ancestry. Is the SOCA rep present? No, all right. Actually, SOCA sends their regrets. All right, I'm just gonna go back through the chat. I saw that a few people may have been missed. I'm just gonna read through it. Give me a moment. Josh, have you been elected and onboarded by Anna to be a representative on council?
I got an email, but I don't think I've been added to the list because I didn't get a meeting link. So I guess, yeah. I got elected though, last
You were
year.
elected? Okay. Have you spoken with Anna?
No, I don't think so. I think she just sent over an email.
Sent over an email. Okay. So I'm going to list you on here for having voting privileges since you've been elected and appointed. It seems you just weren't added to the mailing list. So under BPK, so I will count you when we do our roll call vote later on. I'm just gonna go down the list here. You can introduce yourself.
Okay, perfect. I'm Josh, BPKSA. Pronouns are he, him, his, and my access needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you. Bachelor of Environment. Brad, have you been elected?
Yeah, I was elected for my to be the SFSS representative for the Bachelor of Environment Student Union.
Have you received an email from Annie Riva?
I'm not sure. I feel like I'm just lost in like the mailing list stuff, but yeah, I just got elected last 2 weeks ago.
All right. I'll reach out to Anna about that, but I will record your vote. We'll look into it more if we do come down to a tie in the end. But you can introduce yourself to everyone.
Yeah, Bradley Sarandi, Bachelor of Environment Student Union, pronouns he, him, his, accessibility needs are met.
All right, thank you. And for statistics, Stephanie, were you recently elected as well?
Yeah, I was elected as the council representative a week ago.
A week ago. And have you had any communication with Anna Riva?
I got an email from Samantha.
All right, okay, so then you are a rep. Just add you to here and we'll count your vote as well. All right, perfect. So I'll make sure we get that updated. Moving on to board members, kind of skipped there. I'm gonna look down the list, see. It's the president, present. Yeah, that's fine, Josh. Either one of those two emails, so from either Samantha or Anna, does indicate that you've been onboarded. So that's fine. We'll count your vote. Asab is not present. You have VP External Relations. Looks like he just left the meeting. See if he comes back. VP Finance.
Hi, everyone. Corbett. Pronouns are he, him, his, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Corbett.
Hi, I'm back.
Oh, you can introduce yourself, Samad.
All right. Samad Raza, VP External Relations. Pronouns are he, him, his. Sorry about that. Like I was clicking on unmuting myself, but accidentally clicked on like ending the call. All right. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Moving on, VP Student Services. There's Matt here. No, don't think so. VP Student Life.
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer. She, her pronouns and access needs are met.
All right, thank you. Next, VP University Relations. Gabe is not present today. Do we have any at-large reps? I'm just gonna check. Don't think Balkis is here. Poom, are you here? You can introduce yourself. All right, cool, thank you. I don't think any of our faculty reps are present. Or actually, Wichan, if you're here, you can introduce yourself as well. Wichan?
Oh, sorry, I'm here. My name is Wei-Chen. My pronunciation is I'm a French representative. I just want to point out, can we use the proper pronouns instead of saying male pronouns? Because that's kind of easy.
Am I lagging here, or is that
not just you?
Oh, okay.
Purpose of keeping
seems we're having some issues with mics today. But yeah, basically what Wei-Chen was saying is to please state your pronouns as either he, him, his, she, her, hers, or whichever pronouns you do use, instead of just saying.
Can you hear me?
It was lagging out earlier, Wei-Chen, for everyone. You can repeat what you said earlier if you'd like.
Yeah, no. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep. I think you might be having some internet issues there, Rishan. If you could just type it out, it might be a bit better. Okay. All right. I think we're going to move on. So just a reminder to just write out whichever pronouns you go by. Okay, we're going to move now to adoption of the agenda. So motion 4.1, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Would anyone like to move?
PSSU moves.
PSSU moves. Would anyone like to second this motion?
Software system seconds.
Software.
I hope my mic is better now.
Yes, it is much better. All right. Is there any discussion? Would anyone like to amend the agenda? I'm going to move to amend the agenda to include a section titled Ratification of Regrets with the motion, be it resolved to ratify regrets from Michelle Tong, Simran Jir, and Figor Obuoma. Would anyone like to second this amendment?
Software system seconds.
Software system seconds. All right. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we're going to move to vote. Seek unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this amendment carries. Back to the main motion, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Seeing no discussion, we're going to move to vote. Seek unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries. All right, moving on to ratification of regrets. Be it resolved to ratify regrets from Michelle Tong, Simran Jir, and Figor Obuoma. Would anyone like to move this motion?
Software systems moves.
Software systems moves. Would anyone like to second?
PSSU seconds.
PSSU seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we're going to move to vote. Seek unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries. Before we get to our reports from the liaisons, just want to thank you, Wichan, for writing that out. Yeah, we should be stating our pronouns as he, him, his, she, her, hers, they, them, theirs, because it does defeat the purpose. All right, we're going to move to report from the liaisons, starting with the council liaison. Ryan, you're good to go.
Thank you so much. Okay, biggest ticket issue, I suppose, is that the board has now been fully informed of the bylaw update proposal. That's the one that would be placing council in a better role to govern the board's actions directly than simply being like an advisory. They also passed a Zoom account. They raised a lot of the same concerns we did, such as the 80% threshold for impeachment. A lack of faculty reps would cause certain student demographics to lack representation. A lot of discussion, not a lot of motioning. I think if the board members have further concerns, they'll bring it up directly. But the biggest issues the biggest item is that they now know what we know, short of the latest document that Zaid has sent us through the Discord.
All right, thank you, Ryan. We're now going to move on to a report from the board liaison.
Okay, I'm on mobile, so this is kind of okay. I'm gonna send the 2 documents I have, but if any of these documents don't work, just let me know. The first one should be the one for September 18th. I don't think I gave a report for this meeting yet, so I'll just quickly go over it. So the first link is September 18th. Basically, we went over SFU esports because they're gonna be taking, well, they want to take over the gaming lounge and manage it basically. So we're gonna start a working group to figure out details of this lounge. And some board members expressed concerns about ensuring that students have, like, it's a safe space for students, like free of sexual harassment and things like that. So this working group will have diverse representation. Myself and Corbett are on the working group, so if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. Another point that we went over at this meeting was the SFU refund and course drop deadlines. We thought it was really unfair because the website was kind of unclear and a lot of students were confused. And this issue will be brought at the next joint operations group meeting by the SFSS. And I think that meeting has passed, but I didn't go to the meeting, so I'm not quite sure what became of it. And then we talked about the State of the Society address. Basically, it's like a really formal way of saying we need to have an event to engage undergraduate SFU students, which are our membership, and basically just update them about what we have been up to. You can read more in this 6-page document. I go into a lot more detail, but that's basically like what you need to know, the most important parts of the meeting. I don't want to take up too much of Council's time, but all the details are in the document. The second document I linked was the board special meeting on September 25th. So the most important points were that we passed a motion to get a Zoom business account. So future board meetings will be on Zoom, and it'll be a lot easier to stream it onto like Facebook. And then we also passed a motion to endorse the British Columbia Federation of Students Take It Over campaign. Maybe some of you have gotten ads about this Take It Over campaign. I know I've gotten a bunch of Instagram ads for it. Basically, it's just like a get out the vote campaign for the provincial election. And then we also had really extensive discussion and a Q&A about other bylaw changes. Like Ryan mentioned, there were concerns about the 80% threshold for impeachment, but some board members explained that this high 80% threshold is so that councillors cannot be unrightfully impeached. So if you're in the minority and then you disagree with something and people want to impeach you, 80% of council needs to vote in favor of that impeachment for you to be impeached. And that's why the threshold is so high, so people can't just vote to impeach you randomly. And then we clarified the difference between faculty reps and council DSU reps, because, like, for example, last year I was the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences representative, and there's also many different departmental student unions in that faculty, like English, or then there's also the faculty student union, like Society of Arts and Social Sciences. So the difference between that is that the reasoning behind this bylaw change and why we're getting rid of the faculty reps is that we feel like the departmental student unions are more like on the ground and they know more about what students would want. Or it's more like student representation, because I talked about how last year as the faculty representative, I already had previous experience with being in a DSU or an FSU. So I could advise the other DSUs and FSUs, like, this is what you do, this is what check requisitions are like. But in previous years, faculty representatives before me did not have that previous DSU experience. And since FAST is such a big faculty, like, somebody with no experience could get voted in, and then that wouldn't be as representative of the students, if that makes sense. So that's the rationale behind that. There's more detail in this 5-page document. I took some screenshots from Gabe's presentation so you can see the differences and all of the different bylaw proposals. I basically just took the too long didn't read stuff and put it in here. Still kind of long, but I would recommend reading it because it's kind of important. And yeah, that's all for my report.
Thank you, Jennifer. Just acknowledging what's being said in the chat. This is not a discussion that we're going to be having, not right now, and I don't think it's the one that we need to have. I mean, if you want to state your pronouns as being male pronouns, then list out what you believe to be male pronouns. So if you believe it to be he, him, his, then just do that instead. We don't need to be causing any kind of conflict here. Please just respect everyone. We're now going to move on to item 7.1 on the bylaw proposal. I'm going to read it out here. Whereas council voted in favor of the proposed governance structure at its August 5th meeting, Whereas council members are part of the bylaw working group, which has drafted these proposed bylaw changes, whereas council has reviewed the bylaw for proposal at its September 23rd meeting. Be it resolved that council approve the bylaw for proposal on council empowerment as presented. Would anyone like to move this motion?
PSSU moves.
PSSU moves. Would anyone like to second?
Out on campus seconds.
Out on campus seconds. All right, we're now going to move to discussion. If there are any questions or anything that anyone would like to bring up regarding this motion, please do so now before we move to vote. I'll give everyone a few moments just to think of anything that they may want to say ahead of this. All right, just noting ahead of time, in accordance with Robert's rules and to keep impartiality, I will be abstaining from voting on this motion because as chair, I do need to be impartial. So if it does come down to a tiebreaker, then we may reassess that. But as of right now, I'm not going to be voting on this motion. Since it is going to be contested, as far as I'm aware, we are going to be voting by roll call. So just as we had done earlier with attendance, I'm going to be going down the list. When I do call on your DSU or constituency group, please just state your name and state your vote. Yes, no, or whether you're going to abstain. And it's just a bit of a good practice to really hold my votes until it comes down to a tiebreaker where I can then vote either way. Brad, if you haven't been brought up to speed, the motion which I just read out regarding council's approval of the bylaw for proposal, if you have looked into, thank you, Serena, for posting that. Please read that over. Yes, so when I do call on you, yes will mean that you are in favor of approving this proposal. No means you are against approving this proposal, and abstaining means that you're going to abstain. All of your votes will be noted. I will be noting them also in the minutes as well. Victor, you may speak.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, I just want to say that I've been on council now for multiple semesters. I've also been actively engaged in my DSU and my constituency group out on campus. I personally am really in support of the bylaw changes. Honestly, I have to say that for the years that I've been involved with the SFSS, it's the current state that it's in, it's kind of not really effective and kind of problematic. It has really contributed to a culture of disengagement at SFU. For example, like the board doesn't always represent students and council doesn't really have that agency to hold the board accountable. So, and for me as a student, that's not really what student involvement is about. So I think we have a really good opportunity this year to do a much better job of organizing how the SFSS is governed and structured. And honestly, it's about time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Victor. All right, before we move on to vote on this motion, would anyone else like to speak? Is there any other discussion? Thank you, Kyle. Yes, for new counselors, if you have any questions, please do ask them now. Just type list in the chat and then you can ask your question and we'll do our best to answer that. Yes, Helen, you may speak.
Thank you. I guess I'll keep my little ditty short and sweet because I've already, numerous times I've already said my support for the bylaw changes. And like what Victor was saying, these bylaw changes give us an opportunity as council to have greater voices and to kind of bring about more representation, as we are diversely represented, much more represented than the board has ever been these past few years. So it's important that when we vote, even if some of us feel like our hearts are like sort of 75% in, maybe not all in, just remember that your vote isn't just a representation of your student union, but it's also a representation of the chance that you'll be giving the students within SFE, within the SFSS. Because if we pass this motion today, then it's going to be taken to the AGM, and then it's going to give a chance for our student body to vote whether they want council to be in the position that these bylaws are advocating for. It's a fresh and exciting new way to bring about more democratic processes within the SFSS. So I hope that your vote is not only representative of the spirit of your student union, but the spirit of what we're truly trying to get at here. So yeah, and shout out to Gabe for getting all this done. He's a boss, man. So thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Is there any discussion, any questions? Just going to give it a couple more moments. This is really important. Yes, Quince?
Just to clarify, this is the proposal we've been speaking about in previous council meetings, correct?
Yes, this is that proposal, the one we have been discussing for the past little while.
Always worth checking.
Sorry, what was that? Good to go? All right, again, just last chance. Any questions, any discussion, any final words anyone would like to say before we move into voting? This is going to take us, another 20 minutes. So please, if you have any questions, ask them now. All right, roll call voting. So again, when I call on you, just state your name or your DSU. Yes. Yeah, state your DSU. Right. Actually, seeing what Jennifer has said and noting that we have 1, 2, 3, we have 4 new counselors. Before we vote, I think we should give them a little bit of a recap, a little background on what we're voting on right here, just so that they're informed. I'm going to ask Helen or Corbett, would either of you be interested in giving a little bit of a recap for our new counselors here, just so they know exactly what we're voting on?
Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it, Helen.
Thanks. I can try my best to be as articulate as I can be on what we're voting on. Corbett, jump in at any point. I mean, do you want me to redo the whole presentation from last week?
No, I think we should keep this as concise as possible. Just
okay.
Main points really about the new governance structure and what we're doing here.
Sure. Well, it is. You know what? I'm actually going to let Corbett take the lead on this first, because I need a guideline to actually present good facts about what's going on here. So Corbett, you take it away, and then I will jump in at certain points whenever I can.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so there are 4 different.
Before you get started, I'm just going to stress again that we do want to keep this short and concise here. Maybe 5-6 minutes at most, because we do need to get going.
Okay. Okay. So at the annual general meeting on October 26th, we are proposing a number of bylaw changes to the organization. Bylaws can only be approved by the membership. These are core structural rules for the society. One of these changes is changing our governance structure so that the board expands and includes what is now called council. this is kind of we used to have this model back in before 2006, or actually before 2001, but then in 2006 they fully split off, and the board as we know it was existing like that, and over time that caused a continuous drift between what the board was deciding and what necessarily were communicated with students or what students wanted. And there's been times where council members and board members have butted heads over issues. Last year was a prime example with the space issue, to the point where, and the concert and stuff, the point where council was even discussing the idea of starting impeachment proceedings before the board kind of decided to act or rectify some of their decisions. Because the current governance model, the board of directors, executives, and faculty and at-large reps are the decision makers of the organization. Council is the advisory body. Some years boards have completely ignored council or just devalued it, didn't care at all. We believe that merging council back together with board will allow for more representative decision making to happen, because right now you have one faculty rep for any number of student unions. In some cases it's only one, like in health sciences. Other areas it's 14 or 15, like in arts and social sciences. So the division of labor is not the same. And it's really only one voice at the board table as to potentially 5, 10 or more, as it is currently with council. So be a much larger body. Council would become the new board of directors. It would have a smaller subcommittee called the executive committee for all the VPs and president, who would handle the day-to-day operations. Council would handle policy development, long-term strategy, approving the annual budgets, improving contracts, improving, like for instance, the collective agreements, all that kind of stuff. So the big ticket items. But the regular day-to-day operations would be under the different executives. So the VP Student Life, the VP Finance, VP Student Services, all those groups. That's kind of the gist of it. And I think some of the core ideas behind it I've said. Helen, if you can jump into anything else, yeah, if you think I missed.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, Corbett, for making all those like precise details. I guess just to sum up in very simpleton talk, how being a part of the working group and getting to be a part of the bylaw review process, it's been a treat, because this whole process has just been giving council more ability to have responsibility to oversee what the board is doing, or in this model, what council will have the responsibility to look over all the actions that the executive committee will be doing. And it's kind of nice, but because we're creating a more of a judicial kind of outlook, where council's like, I've used this analogy many times in council meetings. Council is becoming like the Supreme Court of Canada, and all the executive committee members are like the politicians. They create the ideas, and we are just there to approve it. And the beauty of it is that because we are a very 40 plus representative body made up of all our student unions and working groups, we get to have more say and more opinion based on what we all think, not just based on the current 16 board members that are under our current governance system. So yeah, I think that's just my very simple description of it all. It's just giving council more ability to have more oversight and make more decisions for our entire student body.
All right, thank you. Would anyone like to speak? I'm just going to ask our new counselors, do you have any questions? If you do, then please do ask them now. Anything that you may want to have clarified. Wei-Chun, you do have the floor.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was connected to the wrong Wi-Fi just now, so it was kind of choppy. But yeah, I just want to say, even if you know how you're going to vote and you understand everything, I think it's still important as counselors to state why you support it or why you don't, just so people know why you voted this way, why you voted no, or why you abstain, or why you voted yes. So even if you understand everything, you can just list and state why you support or why you're against. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean if you don't have any questions, you're not supposed to speak. Speaking to like why you voted this way is also important. So.
Thank you, Rich, and I agree. If anyone wants to speak on whether they support or are against this motion, anything that they'd like to put forward, you can list yourself. Or when I do call on you, you can give a little bit of a rationale, though we do want to keep things a little bit quick, so do limit it to a couple minutes at most. Is there any other discussion? Anyone else like to say anything? I would like to stress, though, that our new counselors, Brad, Josh, Nicole, Stephanie, if you guys have any questions about this before voting, please do ask. It is a really complex proposal that we went through, but really what we're doing here today is we're approving this proposal to be then put on the agenda at the AGM for the rest of the student body to vote on. So, of course, our voting on this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be implemented. It's just that we're voting to put this forward to the rest of the membership to vote on it at the AGM. Yes, Nicole?
I just wanted a little bit of clarification as to when this will be starting exactly. From my understanding, I think people will start campaigning in like March. Is that correct? And then the positions will begin like in the summer, or when will this actually come into play?
Corbett, you have a direct response.
Yeah, so if the bylaw proposal, especially this particular one, passes on October 26th, it'll go into effect immediately. But the actual elections will happen. There'll be two periods. One will be the first half of spring will be the executive elections, and then in early March, late February, early March would be the council elections. The council elections are handled by each individual departmental and faculty, student union, and constituency groups methods, but the general time period is there to have some consistency from year to year. So, and then the actual positions would all start on May 1st for executive and council members.
And it runs for 8 months?
A year.
1 year, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Why, not that I don't agree with it, but why are we rushing the vote? I think I heard it was only discussed like for a few meetings, like maybe over a month or so. If it would only start like next year.
Partially, the timing for the annual general meetings happens in the fall. It can happen between from start of early September to late October. We chose a date to be the furthest, almost furthest possible we could, to give us more time to develop these bylaws and also to have discussions on them. So we did start development of the bylaws in June, and we formed up with members of council as part of the working group, I think a little bit later. Sorry, I don't have the detailed timeline on my in front of me, but we've been working on this for a number of months. It's just, and we've been bringing this out to members for discussion and council discussion as early as we could.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
And we have had like multiple discussions now at council and now at the board. We've had a discussion at the board as well. So, and then we still have up to a month campaign for students to encourage them to come and vote for or against it on top of that. So just a reminder, this vote is recommended to the board that like council supports this idea of this bylaws going forward. Because on this Friday, we're having a board meeting where we'll be setting the agenda for the AGM. And yeah, so it's all kind of leading up to this Friday for that approval. Okay.
All right, thank you, Corbett. Wei-Chan, you also have a direct response.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Corbett said. I don't think it's a rush. This has been going on for a few months, and this discussion has been brought up at council as well. Council members have been involved as well, and we prepared for this review a lot in the working group of these bylaw changes, and as well, we never know who's going to be the next board next year. As we discussed as well, last year's board, we're not willing to kind of work with council. We're not willing to respect council's wishes. On the way council vote or condemn the board, the board can just ignore council, right? So we don't know who's going to be on council next year. So I don't think this is a rush. Right now we have a board that's willing and also already working with council on these things. And like Corbett said, this vote on council really has no power over it. It's just like saying the council support these bylaw proposals. And even if the council voted no, it will have no, the board has to put it on the agenda, AGM, then it will go through. So that kind of speaks to why we want these changes, because the council is has no power at all right now. So
thank you, Wei Chan. Just wanting to note that if we do not approve this proposal, then it doesn't really give much motive for the board to put on the AGM anyways, if the body that's going to be put into this new governance structure is not interested in joining it anyways. Helen, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to echo, just coming from someone who is on council with you guys right now, and just echoing what Wei Chun was just saying not too long ago. Right now, I think council is pretty lucky. The board has been fairly cooperative for the most part. Who knows what's going to happen in the next few months? We'll be ready to grill you on it, board members. But as of right now, the board is willing to distribute power over to us and to give us more responsibility, to have greater oversight, and to just to have a greater stake within the SFSS, because it's been a long time that the student body and counselors that have joined council now have felt ignored and have felt left in the dark because previous board members, past boards, have gone rogue and haven't listened to what the students want. They just wanted to act on their own decisions, and they just wanted to be elected into board for their own resume, for their own self-interest, not for doing politics from the heart, So this is kind of just an opportunity for us as council to do democracy right, in a way. As cliche and cheesy as it sounds, it's just a way for us to really turn the student society into a positive light, rather than the negative light that it has been experiencing for the past 4 or 5 years that most of us have been here at SFU. It's just the way to do things better.
Thank you, Helen. Jennifer, you have the floor.
Yeah, I mentioned this in the chat as well, but the bylaw review project has been in the works since 2019. Some of you might recall receiving an email from the SFSS asking for students' input, regular SFU students' input about our bylaws, because we were going to change them. And a lot of students gave us input, and then we took that feedback, and that's why we have the changes now. It's also important to note, in regards to why these bylaws are being changed, that with the space issue last year, where a lot of the marginalized groups on campus, like SFU SOCA and SFPIRG, the social justice group, they weren't going to get space in the student union building. And then basically council, which represents a lot of students at SFU, they voted to condemn this decision of not giving these marginalized groups space in the student union building. But then we discovered that the board didn't actually have to listen to council, which represented a lot of the membership. So that didn't make any sense, which is why we were making these changes. Hopefully that gives a little bit of a background and can help make sense of why we're changing the bylaws.
Thank you, Jennifer. Helen?
Thank you again. Yes, so I'm just looking at the chat box right now, and Adrienne, Brad, I know you guys feel rushed, and I'm sure many of you guys feel that same way. And I just want to clarify that I never said that it was wrong to feel that way. I'm not saying it is wrong at all. We all have our different feelings and our different perspectives. And some of us, like myself, feel more confident in this in this project, in these bylaws, more than others. And I get it, why there may be some skepticism, which is why we have to do a vote today, or just we have to take a vote so we know where our confidence stands. Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens, as much as I would like, or Zaid would like, or any of our board members would like for these bylaws to go through, we're always going to have to stick with what council wants. We're going to have to stick with the confidence of council. Yes, it may seem like it's a push right now, and I'm sorry if I am coming across in a way where I am pushing you. I don't want to push you. I just want to, we all need to know where our confidence lies, which is why we're doing this vote. And if you feel like this is a terribly bad idea or whatever, speak up, say what you want to say. We want to hear your voices. We want to know exactly what's going on in your head so we can find a better way to support all of us. Again, I know it sounds very rhetoric based and cliche what I'm saying, but I truly mean it. I want to be able to hear what's bugging you and what we can do to do better. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm just going to actually, I think, go back on what I said earlier about giving your rationale after voting. I think that everyone should, if they're interested, I think, though I do think that everyone should speak on it right now, is to state their position on this, give their position on this, give their rationale behind what they're voting on, whether they are for, against, or abstaining, and why. When we do vote, it's just going to be yes, no, or abstain. So we go through things quickly there. But whoever does want to speak on this, do speak now, whether it's in support, whether it's in against, whether there are questions that you do have. Just responding also to what Nicole said there. Yes, it does seem that we do have some new members right now, but I mean, we do have an ongoing rolling basis where there are elections occurring and new councillors are joining council all the time. So it's not something that we can really postpone on that part. It's really the duty of the last councillor in that position to update their DSUs and to bring their replacement up to speed. We would otherwise we'd be delaying basically every vote then if we had to wait until we had all councillors up to speed on the same page at the same time. But again, abstention is a vote that you can, is a position that you can choose, as Roland has stated. If you feel you don't have enough information, you can abstain. So do keep that in mind. Also, just to clarify, the reason that we're having it this week and we can't really postpone it to next week is that we need to have the AGM set 3 weeks before we have we have to have the agenda set 3 weeks before the AGM. So the AGM is on the 26th. We need to have it set 3 weeks before that. So this is the last time we can have a council meeting before we can meet that deadline. But again, everyone here, I'd urge all of you to speak, say your 2 cents, whether that's support, against, whatever it is, please do so now. Just list yourselves in the chat. Kyle, you have the floor. Or actually, sorry, I think Wei-Chun has the floor.
Yeah, I just want to echo what both Helen and Zaid said. If you do have concerns and feel this is rushed, please list and state why you feel that way. And as well as what Zaid has said as well, there's always going to be new councillors coming in, and it's going to be, up to their previous council rep to fill in the new council, what's happening, and making sure the new council is up to date. We did have this meeting and discussion at the last council meetings, and councillors are supposed to go back to their DSUs, tell them what's going on, and then make sure the DSU are informed. And then today is supposed to be the day we vote on it. So, it is a responsibility of council to make sure the DSU is up to date and know what's happening within the council meetings. So I don't think this is rushed in any way, because, we even offer to come to DSU meetings. Myself, Gabe, Corbett, we put ourselves available if people want us to speak and attend DSU meetings to discuss these bylaw changes. So council will have the opportunity to be well informed and making sure that DSU understand what's happening. So I don't feel any way it's rushed. So.
Thank you, Wei-Chun. Kyle, you have the floor.
Hi. I just wanted to take a little step back and remind councillors that we are only voting on whether or not this bylaw will be put forth at the AGM. This is not the final vote. The final vote will be up to the student body, to the student members, which is still a little under a month away. There is plenty of time to inform your student unions, to inform your peers of the actual implications of this vote. I just think it's better if we have the opportunity to say yes or no then, rather than say no outright now and do not have the student body able to speak on it.
Thank you, Kyle, for reiterating that. Right, as you said, we are merely putting this up to the student body for the vote. Whatever we vote here and recommend, it doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be implemented. We are just giving our support for this to be put onto the agenda for everyone to decide and choose whether they want to see this happen or not. Council does not have the ability to directly change the bylaws by ourselves with this vote. We are merely putting it up onto the agenda for everyone else to see. If you support that, then you can vote yes. If you don't, you can vote no. And if you don't have enough information, you can abstain. Going down the list, Aaliyah, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that in terms of what I've discussed with my DSU and myself, we are all very strongly in support of this motion. And I feel like we've been discussing it for a long time, and we've had multiple different chances to accumulate the resources that we need in order to make an informed decision. And I just wanted to put that out there and say that I'm super in support of this. And if it's only that we're voting so that council sort of co-signs what the board is doing and we don't actually have any, unfortunately, input in how this motion is going to go or how this is going to go at the AGM, then I think that I just wanted to put my support out there.
Thank you. Thank you for voicing your support, Aaliyah. It's really great to hear from you. I would like all councillors to please voice your opinion on this. Voice your opinion on whether you think this is something that we should support, go against. Please do speak up. I'm gonna give a few moments. Okay, Charlotte, you may speak.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what Aaliyah just said there. A lot of the people in SFSS have given myself the opportunity to reach out. Gabe has been very helpful answering all of my annoying little questions about it. And from what I can tell, I think that the bylaws will be beneficial for the student body as a whole. Also, increasing the stipends for counselors, I think that will also sort of solidify, because I know that in CSA, the CRIM Student Association, we have a lot of turnover in our counselor position. So I think that having that increased sort of monetary reward for going to the meetings will make students want to go more often, hold the position for the long term and not have to turn over every semester, because I know we've had to re-elect our counselor position multiple times in the past year. So I think that a lot of other things about the bylaws are great. And like Helen mentioned earlier, the sort of differences between the board and the council. I really like the idea of putting more power into the council, because having all DSUs have an equal say in sort of the policy changes and stuff like that. I just think that my DSU has personally been in favor of it. I think we were a little bit confused about some things, but again, just reaching out in the Discord to anyone to have my questions answered was great. And I agree that it would be a shame if it wasn't voted in, so that the student body wouldn't have the opportunity to look it over at the AGM. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's great to hear from you. Serena, you now have the floor.
Yeah, so like I've said before, DNA is still in support of this motion. We're in support of the proposed change to the bylaw, but we're also in support of, at the very basic level, providing students a voice on this issue and allowing them to make the decision for themselves whether they do support or whether they are against this specific bylaw change. And I think it'll be great not only to have more general membership provide their input at an AGM, but to also hear from each individual and see whether the support for this proposed change is actually in the general membership. And I think it would be a shame to not allow students to voice their opinion on this issue.
Thank you, Serena. Well said. Roland, you now have the floor.
Sure. I mean, so a lot of people have said exactly what I would like to with, it's important that we just get this in front of our students. But I'd like to say that, if you've spoken with the students in your DSU and they're not in favor of it, then it's your job as a counselor to then get your people from your DSU into the AGM and have them vote, regardless of if you're in favor, they're in favor, or the reverse. Just getting people out there to get those votes is really what's most important. So regardless of which way you fall or your student union falls, getting this in front of them and getting those votes out is super vital.
Thank you, Roland. Yeah, I'd like to reiterate that the most important thing that we're working on here is getting everyone out here, everyone's vote and opinion. We're going to be speaking about this quite a bit after we have this vote, probably at our next meeting, about how we want to mobilize all of our DSUs to have attendees so we can reach quorum and above at the AGM, because that is going to be really important. We do need to have as many people out there, whether they vote yes or no to the different proposals. We just need to have that membership out there, right? Just looking at the list. If anyone else is interested in speaking, please list yourself. Again, just whether you'd want to say a few words in support or against this motion, please do so now before we do get onto our votes. Going to give a couple moments for anyone who has any questions or anything they'd like to say. I'd encourage all counselors to really just voice their approval or their disapproval of this, voice their opinion before we move to vote. I'd like to affirm again my staunch support of this. I've been involved in the working group that wrote out, basically created this proposal. And as I've said many times before, I'm strongly in support of this new governance model. Council sadly doesn't have very much real power to hold the board accountable right now. But with this new model, we will be in a position where we can hold the executive committee, which is essentially the board as it is right now. We can hold them accountable and hold them to their campaign promises and to any decisions that they make on behalf of the student body. I mean, Adrienne, if you want, you can speak again. It's entirely up to you. I'd like everyone, no matter what your opinion is, to speak on this matter. That's why I'm stressing it and giving you guys lots of time. I'd really like to hear everyone speak on it, so all opinions are considered. Yes, Adrienne, I mean, if you are interested, you are allowed to, I mean, I'd like it if you could say maybe some of the reasonings for you voting against. I think it'd be beneficial for the new counselors to have another perspective as well, since all the ones they've been seeing so far have been majority basically in support. It'd be nice to have another opinion as well. So, I mean, if you're up to it, you can speak on that. Again, anyone, I'm gonna give it another minute. Please list yourself, voice your support, whether it's for or against, before we get into voting on this. Thank you, Kayla. I'm going to give it a few more moments for anyone else who'd like to speak. Josh, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that our BBK, for anyone that doesn't know, I spoke to my DSU and we basically came to an agreement that we're in favor of this change. We think it's and an opportunity for more direct representation and greater accountability of student representatives. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Josh. I'm just seeing in the chat. I mean, I don't want to put any pressure on you, Adrienne, but some of the new counselors are interested in hearing maybe some of your reasons for opposing this. I mean, if you feel comfortable, you can speak on it or put it in the chat. I just think it'd be really beneficial for everyone, but that's entirely up to you. If you're not up to it, it's totally fine. I mean, Ryan, you don't have to play devil's advocate, but I mean, it's up to you if you'd like to speak on the opposition points. Just list yourself and I'll let you speak. All right, you have the floor, Ryan.
Hi, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Ryan representing CompSci. My general understanding of, I guess, the biggest opposition opinions held by students is that this restructure comes across as rushed. There wasn't adequate counseling done with the rest of the student body. It was mostly internal discussions among council and the board. A lot of people have also criticized it for seeming like a very superficial restructure of the SFSS, where council kind of becomes a new de facto board, but ultimately we still just have, board entities or at the top of the SFSS, and then things trickle down from there without accomplishing any sort of like real shift in power. I'm racking my brain for what else was discussed this year. I know some people suggested that putting council in a position of direct oversight with the board would cause too much conflict between the two entities because, as we saw last year, we can see SFSS terms where there's a lot of internal turmoil. Things don't get done because there's endless debate and discussion, and people put everything to a vote or referendum. Not sure if that covers it all, Adrienne, if you want to.
All right, thank you, Ryan. All right, Adrienne, you have the floor.
Hello. So I don't know how much I want to get into it, just because in my previous discussions, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna get into that. So why our DSU in particular is not in favor, and our DSU does include a member, like our student representative on the board as well. So we have quite a few concerns with it. I guess Ryan, or I don't know if that was Ryan, the one speaking, touched on how they didn't feel prepared to make a concrete decision when we just, oh yeah, I'm in education. So, okay, wait, lost my train of thought. Didn't feel like we had the time. I know every time we expressed that, it was shut down, saying this has been talked about for a long time, but I don't think that invalidates the way my DSU was feeling. I'm gonna send over this document for you, Nicole. So I did go to the board meeting on Friday as well to express concern about, I believe it was, I forgot the number of the bylaw, but it was the impeachment one. So we had some concern with regards to the number being so high. I know they intentionally had it as 80%, but let me just see if I can find in the DSU chat. Oh yeah. So our concern was that it's easier to vote off a minority at a higher percent, which creates a more oppressive policy. As the smaller a voice is, the easier it is to vote them off. So that was one of our concerns with one of the bylaws. And then we also, just a general concern was, I think we were struggling to kind of grasp how this is going to change accountability, which is, I know, something that's been really emphasized. Especially, I think another concern that was expressed was that, so the poll that was mentioned was, one of the results that came from it was saying they want a smaller board, yet we are giving board responsibilities to a bigger board, so they thought that was counterintuitive, because you're switching, as like council will be known as, or is becoming the board of directors, they'll be switching the power and responsibility over to them. So they thought there was more sufficient ways to approach accountability and fix the problem that's within the SFSS. And then there's just problems with like how the elections will work, considering how our DSU's elections work and they don't line up with council, as well as the fact that you can't be an executive, hold an executive position on your DSU and be an SFSS counselor, just because as a smaller DSU, we do have, it's been in our policy that it is like a joint position. So I hold 2 positions in my DSU, and we already had enough struggles trying to fill the SFSS council rep position. And then, yeah, again, just reading over like the notes I took in our meeting. Yeah, the rush, accountability, impeachment. Yeah, I mean, that kind of briefly touches on everything. I think I've, yeah, definitely talked about it a lot. So hopefully that helps provide some insight on the other perspective for the new counselors. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions or want me to expand on that. I believe, Roland, I think they are putting it into the policy. I don't know if you saw, they sent an email like 15-ish minutes before the meeting about they had a meeting with a lawyer, something along those lines, and I believe they're putting it into the policy now. Yeah, I'm talking. There we go.
All right, thank you, Adrienne. I think it's really great that we do have a variety of opinions expressed for our new counselors, just so that they have different information to draw upon when they make their decision. Yeah, what Roland said, as far as I know, it's a suggestion, it's not a requirement, but because the position does have a lot of responsibility, it is recommended that you don't hold another position in your DSU, or at least one that is not as involved as, say, a president. Keep going down the list. We have our president, Asab, you may speak.
Thank you, Zaid, and hi everyone. Thank you for attending. I apologize, I was a bit late. There was a All Student Societies orientation happening today, so I hope you guys will have a chance to check that out. But I did want to address, I know some of the points that Ryan brought up that we've discussed a couple of times, and some of the points that Adrienne brought up, and I'm happy to give a little bit of background around some of the conversation we had at the board. I'm also the chairperson of the board of directors, so I kind of help to facilitate that conversation in the same way that Zaid does for council. But to address the first concern around simply shifting responsibility from one board to another, the Simon Fraser Student Society is required to have a board of directors of at least 3 people by the BC Societies Act. That is provincial legislation, and that's something that we do have to have. And it simply just, it wouldn't make sense to have 26,000 directors, as nothing would ever get done and no decisions would ever be made, which is why we hold elections so that a group of people can be democratically elected to be the board of directors. So a big reasoning behind the shift of going from the 16 that we have now with the 6 execs, the 2 students at large, and then the 8 faculty reps, into having the actual student council and then also having the executive committee is because we really recognize that counselors are the ones who are already members of their DSUs and their FSUs, who are already working on the ground with their constituency groups and who know what's going on and who really understand the intimate needs of their actual constituents. On the other hand, we also wanted to kind of expand the executives to have more portfolios such as equity and sustainability, to really kind of help to lead that focus on moving the SFSS in towards an avenue where we are also a student activist group and we're actually having campaigns and pushing students towards the outcomes that we think that they deserve, like free education, more publicly funded services. We want to see students actually come to university and to actually enjoy their time here and to be able to get a quality education. So those were some of the rationale behind a lot of the changes that we made to the actual board, and also simply to have an executive committee that is accountable to council, so that when they make decisions or they want to do something, they're at the will of the council to reverse their decision, to censure them, to penalize them wherever it may be. So while, you know, a board of directors is never going to be perfect, and we don't live in a perfect society where we can have the perfect governance structure and nothing will ever go wrong, I think to disseminate power rather than to consolidate it within a smaller board, I think is a good option. And I think a lot of people did like that in our previous conversations. I took a couple of notes and I can touch on them briefly, but at our last board of directors meeting, we did have a conversation about this as well. So yeah, I did touch on it. We do have to have directors in some way, shape, or form. And then with regard to the number for removal from office, the reason that we wanted to go with an 80% is simply because we recognize that would, have in policies and stuff like that, things that are legitimate reasons for removal. But it's way easier to remove a counselor at a 60% threshold than it is 80% threshold. If you need an 80% yes vote to remove someone, that's going to be more difficult than having a 60% yes vote to remove someone. That was something we discussed at length, and I don't know if it was a misunderstanding, but it was explained and repeated multiple times. And, as the chairperson of the board, I make a really specific point not to shut down any conversation that's going on at the board as long as it's fruitful and it's not becoming repetitive. Robert's Rules of Order does say everybody only gets allowed to speak twice, but I do often allow people to speak more than twice simply to ensure that we are able to have a very thorough and very fruitful conversation. So I hope that folks will take a look at the meeting recordings and to attend our meetings even in the future to see kind of how things go. And it's open to students, it's open to counselors. There's a Q&A, but I also allow students and counselors to speak during the meeting, so you're more than welcome to do that. And as a couple people have mentioned, this has been an ongoing project. Counselors have been involved every single step of the way. And at the end of the day, there are no alternate, there's no secret intentions on my part. I simply think that council would do a good job as the board of directors. And I believe that the council, the student unions, and the constituency groups are able to put up really great, really amazing people who will be able to lead the society in a direction that I think in the long term are going to benefit us. We're not reinventing the wheel here. This is done at a lot of student societies. We're actually the outliers in a lot of ways. Not a lot of student societies have boards that look like ours. We're kind of the ones who are working within a very strange system right now. So I really hope that that kind of helps to quell some of your concerns. Huation has linked an FAQ sheet because I don't want to sit here all day and waste everyone's time, but just wanted to clarify some of the points brought up by our counselors today. So thank you very much, Zaid, for letting me speak. I think that's about it from me.
All right, thank you also. I'm just looking down the list. Brian, if you do end up, we don't get to you by the time you do have to leave, I will accept you posting your vote in the chat here. It is going to be part of record and will be added to the minutes. But please do that as a last resort. We will try to get to you as quickly as possible. Caitlin, you may speak.
Hi, so I'm kind of, I guess I would say that maybe I'm kind of in the middle right now as to supporting and against for multiple different reasons. But like, I like the idea for council empowerment because I'm aware of previous issues coming up to SFU about even about the whole sub-building controversy and everything like that. But what I was wondering is there any other alternative models that could be proposed to empower the council besides this one?
Thank you, Caitlin. So at a previous meeting, we did look at some possible structures that we could look at, and ultimately we did decide that we wanted to go with this one. I believe that was an August meeting. I think we did actually, I put that in this motion as well. So we did look at some other ones, but ultimately we did decide here at Council's Governance Committee as well as the Board's Governance Committee to look into the specific governance structure. So we are getting close to the end of our time here, so I would like us to start voting now, but if anyone does have any last words they'd like to say, please do so now. Otherwise, we will enter roll call voting. Balkis, you may speak.
Thank you. Wasn't sure if that was missed or not, but I just wanted to, for a bit of context, just provide a bit of historical context when it comes to council. Like, I realize as a board with the mandate of democracy and equity, it is important that we remind ourselves, and for those who are just learning as well, like how the bylaw change will actually help us build student power. So for some context, last year's board tried to erase council. This has not been the first attempt to erase council, as it just is doing its role. And last year's board, they drafted bylaws that had no language regarding council and its governance with the intention of erasing council in the long run. So just like all operations and stuff, if when it comes to equity and democracy, if it's not systemically ingrained, it doesn't exist, it's not protected. So we've seen this happen with the space issue. Clearly last year was a high point of tension. Council tried to hold the board accountable. They drafted up bylaws to erase council. So we're just trying to make sure that council is like very much cemented into history. Into like student governance, and in a way that the day-to-day wouldn't be held. The day-to-day responsibilities would not be on the counselors and would very much be on executives. The executive members of the committee. So it's just important to distribute the power in such a way that is actually among students on the ground, doing the work, doing the engaging. And when it comes to actually implementing the new structure, we will continue, just like we have been for months, to work together on creating policies to actually implement the structure. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Balkis. All right, we are now going to move into voting. I think we've kind of exhausted speaking on this. It's been some time now. We will now commence voting by roll call. So again, when I call on your DSU/constituency group, please state the DSU/group that you're representing and whether you are voting for, against, or abstaining. We want to keep this going quickly so we can get through this and get everyone to vote in time. All right, starting with Bachelor of Environment. Brad, you're muted.
Sorry. Radley, Bachelor of Environment Student Union. I'm gonna vote yes. I think that it'll be something that should be extended at the AGM meeting, and I think it'll be very beneficial for the representation of the student unions.
All right, thank you. Biology.
Hi, can you hear me better now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm representing biology and I'm going to vote yes.
Right, thank you. BPK.
Hi, I'm Josh, PPK, and I'm voting for.
Yes. All right. Chemistry had sent me an email ahead of time with her regrets, and chemistry is also voting yes. Cognitive science.
Roland Poe from the Student Society, voting in favor.
Roland. Computer science.
Our computing science votes yes.
Thank you. Criminology.
Yes.
Voting yes.
Yes.
Right, thank you. Economics is not present. Education.
Education votes no.
Okay, thank you. Engineering.
Engineering votes yes.
Thank you. English.
English votes yes.
All right, thank you. Just a little bit of a thing here, as Balkis said in the chat, actually, we'll need you to say in favor, against, or abstain, just keeping in line with Robert's rules. Sorry about that, I should have noted that earlier. All right, environmental science.
In favor.
All right, thank you. Sorry, Callie, you are the representative for the First Nations Student Association, correct?
Yeah, I was gonna say I noticed on the agenda that my name's in the wrong spot.
Yeah, they put you in the wrong spot there, but I will still just take your vote here.
Okay, Cali First Nations Student Association in favor.
All right, thank you. French is not present. Geography.
Geography Student Union is in favor.
Thank you. History. History is not present. Humanities.
Humanities votes in favor.
Interactive arts and technology.
Interactive arts and technology is in favor.
Thank you, Brian. National studies.
International studies is in favor.
All right, thank you. Labor studies.
Labor studies is in favor.
Thank you. Mechatronics is not present. MBBSU.
MBB Student Union is in favor.
Thank you. Operations research.
Operations research is in favor.
Thank you. Philosophy. Philosophy. I'm going to check if Tony is present. Is there an issue with your mic? Tony, if there's a problem with your mic, you can type it on the chat. All right, thank you. Physics.
The Physics Student Association is in favor.
PSSU.
Thank you, everyone, for your votes. The Political Science Student Union votes in favor.
Psychology.
Psychology is in favor.
Thank you. Myself. Actually, according to Robert's rules, since I am also a representative, I am allowed to cast my vote here. So I will be voting in favor of the motion. Society of Arts and Social Sciences has sent their regrets and in their email has voted in favor. We are now on sociology and anthropology.
Sociology and anthropology is in favor.
Software systems.
Software systems is in favor.
Thank you. Statistics.
Statistics is in favor.
Thank you. World literature.
World literature is in favor.
Thank you. Constituency groups now. Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance.
DNA is in favor.
Thank you. Out on campus.
Out on campus is in favor.
Thank you. Athletic Advisory Committee. Ryan is in favor. And SOCA sends their regrets and has not submitted a vote. All right, so looking at it, this motion passes with one vote against, and I don't really know how to say that, but basically, essentially, all except for one. So overwhelming majority. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, Sandra, you were late for this meeting, so you have not been included in the attendance, nor has your vote been counted. But yeah, all right, so this motion carries. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for sitting through that. Quickly, we're going to go through our last motion here. 7.2, Board Committee Recommendations. Be it resolved, the Council recommends Callie Steele, I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce her last name, be appointed to the Finance and Administrative Services Committee of the Board. So what we will be doing here is opening the floor for nominations, as this is something that we do have elections for. So actually, we need to first have someone move. Would anyone like to move this motion?
Cognitive science moves.
Cognitive science moves. Would anyone like to second?
Engineering seconds.
Criminology seconds. All right, so we're on to discussion now. So I'm going to open the floor. If anyone else is interested in this position, please motivate now. This is the first. This is the first call for nominations. This is the second call for nominations. This is the third and final call. Callie, just state yourself for nominating.
Do I list in the chat?
No, you can just speak out here.
Oh, okay. So I nominate myself.
All right, thank you. This is the final call for nominations. Seeing no other interest, and since we only have one candidate, we will not be having any motivations for this position. Right, so if there's no other discussion, we already have the motion with Callie's name in it, so I believe we're just going to move ahead with voting. Seeking unanimous consent, since I don't believe this is going to be any kind of contentious vote here. We don't want to go through roll call again. Seeking unanimous consent, if you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries. Congratulations, Callie. You have been recommended to be appointed to the Finance and Administrative Services Committee. The board is now going to have to approve it, and I believe they'll be in touch with you soon. All right, that's it. We're now on to announcements. So our next meeting is going to be October 14th. Keep that in your calendars, everyone, 4:30 p.m. And we're now going to move to item 9.1, adjournment. Be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 6:07 p.m. Does anyone move?
Sociology moves.
Sociology moves. Does anyone second?
MBB seconds.
MBB seconds. Seeing no discussion, we're going to move to vote. Seeking unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries. At 6:07 p.m. Oh, oops, I forgot to state the time earlier. But anyways, we are done now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for that great and very long and somewhat exhaustive discussion on the Bylaw 4 proposal. I'll see everyone next week. I'm going to stop recording now. And thank you, everyone, for attending.